These stock drive shafts are no longer long enough. So I will be replacing these with these Junfac. Hey guys, welcome back to Revolution XRC. Welcome to the next part of this RC4 drive Marlin build series. In this part of the series, we're going to be adding new drive shafts as well as a A&M garage anti-wrap bar. Now, if you remember in one of my previous videos on this build series, I did use the A&M garage plus 4mm reverse shackle mounts, and so that moved the axle forward. And when I did that, these stock drive shafts are no longer long enough. So I will be replacing these with these Junfac universal shafts for the RC4 drive Trailfinder 2 platform. Comes with the front and rear, both the same length. Since this is a leaf spring rig, I also will be adding the A&M garage anti-wrap bar, just to prevent any axle wrap in the rear. Alright, let's take a look to see what comes in the package for the Junfac drive shafts. So you get two shafts, both the same length. Right there. Got your joint grease for the universal cups, or CVD cups. Let's see here. Instructions, of course, and these spring clamps for the pins on the drive shaft. I don't know why they didn't come pre-installed. You only need 4 of them. They give you 6, and there's an extra grub screw here as well. The way these work, they have 2 grub screws, 1 on each end, and basically they get inserted into the drive shaft hole. So I don't need this extra grub screw right now, and I'll only need 4 of these spring clamps, or spring retainers, whatever you call them. Start by taking care of that. Well, actually they didn't put them on because they wanted you to actually grease them, so let's go ahead and do that. Now before I go ahead and move on and grease these joints, I'm actually going to use anti-seize lubricant in here because it's a little easier to spread around than this joint grease, and anti-seize lubricant actually attracts less grime. But before I do that, I'll also put these springs on. I just wanted to go over some things that you'll need to do in order to use these drive shafts first in regards to the transmission. Now, as far as the diff outputs in the axle, those are just fine to work with these Junfac drive shafts. But on the transmission side, you actually are going to make a modification to get these to fit. Now here I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright. Right here, this hole right here doesn't exactly line up with the holes for this drive shaft. So it doesn't go deep enough. It does go deep enough on the axle side for the diff output, but on the transmission side, on the transmission output, it doesn't go deep enough. So you're probably going to have to trim about 1 millimeter or 2 off the edge of this output shaft right here, just so that this hole can line up with the hole in the output shaft. And you'll have to do it on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of mark off what I need to cut off and grind it down, and we'll be right back. Alright, I wanted to show you a closer look at what I was talking about earlier. Here is the transmission output. Here is the Junfac drive shaft. Now you'll notice that the holes is just a little bit off. So you will have to grind down at least 1 millimeter or 2 and that's for both sides. And it's not just the Junfac driveshafts that have this issue. If you were to use the axial wild bore driveshafts, it would have the same issue. Basically, these output shafts are long, and you won't be able to line up that hole. Alright, here you can see that I've marked off what you have to grind off with marker on each end. So I'll go ahead and do that, and when I'm done, we'll be right back. Alright, you can see that I've ground down the edges of the output shafts on both sides. And these drive shafts will now line up as expected. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the spring retainers on. Alright, I'm gonna work on the transmission side first, so I will be using the male side. Two male sides. Now I've got here Permatex anti-seize lubricant, and I'm going to use that to lubricate these CVDs or driveshaft CVDs. This stuff spreads really easily, so what I'm going to do is just kind of put it there on the side, rotate it around, and it should spread pretty easily. Maybe get some on this side too. Yeah, I like this better than black grease. It doesn't pick up as much grime. The only bad thing is it kind of gets all over the place if you're not careful. So one male side down. You know, once again, one of the best parts about this is it spreads really easily. You do want to make sure that you have somewhere to kind of set this aside, because it does get all over the place and make a mess. There, perfect. We might as well do the other side too. I kind of don't want to leave this out here. I'd like to put it away as soon as possible because it does stink a little bit. Alright, got the anti-seize lubricating the drive shafts, and we're ready to go ahead and put the drive shafts on. So like I said, we want the female side on the axle side. So the male side will be sticking on the transmission. And this is the one I took the grub screws off. We'll go ahead and put those grub screws back on. Oh, we need thread lock. So good idea to use thread lock on these. Well, it looks like I didn't get a extra grub screw. The other one fell out. So it's in the bag somewhere. I'll go get it. So no extra grub screws. You get exactly what you need. Fish the other one out of this bag here. So all you do, you get 2 extra spring retainers. Alright, so we've got the transmission side all done. Let's go ahead and slide the transmission back into place. Alright, let's see if we can do this now. Slide the shaft on right here. Slide it back onto this side. Okay, so keep it on. What am I doing? Alright, the transmission is mounted back up again, and we're ready to put the drive shafts on the axle side. Go ahead and do that. Like I said, on the diff side, the lengths are just fine. These are D-slotted drive shafts, so there's only one way for them to go on, so you don't have to worry about phase. Go ahead and put thread lock on these two. That takes care of the front. Go ahead and take care of the rear. Alright, perfect. That completes the drive shaft portion of this build series. We'll go ahead and move on to the anti-wrap bars. Here's a good look at the drive shafts. Nice and strong, and nice and long enough for that plus 4mm reverse shackle mount. Perfect. Let's go ahead and move on to this. Alright, these are the pieces that come with the A&M Garage anti-wrap bar. So you've got these two screws here, this, the anti-wrap bar, and let's go ahead and mount this up. Alright, let's get this anti-wrap bar installed to wrap up this part of the build series. First thing we're going to need to do is to remove the screws for the leaf spring on the passenger side. Right. Now this anti-wrap bar, this end is going to go right where those screws were, and you're going to use the two supplied screws from the kit to attach this. Now we're going to use the other supplied screw. Alright, so we've got it mounted on the axle side. Now we've got to take care of this side, which might be a problem because this skid's in the way. Wonderful. Okay, so let me get this tucked underneath. This should actually go under the skid. Try to figure out what's the best way to do this right now. Yeah, maybe I'll just undo all these. Right, so there's one screw going into the rock sliders. You'll be removing that one. If you don't have the stock rock sliders installed, you'll be doing it a little bit differently. You'll be using the nut, M3 nut that's provided with it. But since I have these rock sliders installed, I'll be just screwing them into the rock slider. So, let's grab the screw out here. Alright, like I said, if you don't have the rock sliders installed, you'll be using this and using the M3 nut on this side. But since I do have rock sliders, I'll just be threading them into the rock slider. There we go. Now I'm machine somewhere. Alright, so you can see here, The anti-wrap bar is mounted to the rock slider, and see how that moves? It'll prevent axle wrap, because you won't be able to twist that this way or the other way for that matter. So that's how it helps you from bending your leaf springs. And that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna put this A&M skid back on, and that pretty much does it for this video. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future updates on this RC4WD Marlin build series.